I now think in Bitcoin. Okay, it's taken me 8 years of morning study. You are much faster than me. You know, I'm a slow learner, but I get there. It's taken me 8 years of morning study and a lifetime of lessons studying the markets. But I now think in Bitcoin, and it's very freeing. And through that lens of thinking in Bitcoin, Bitcoin is not volatile. Fiat is volatile. The price of college is volatile, and fiat keeps getting cheaper in Bitcoin. The price of prime real estate is very volatile, and fiat keeps getting cheaper in Bitcoin. The price of all of my long-dated denominated liabilities, like a mortgage or retirement, or we do a lot of work with insurance companies, they're long-dated fiat-based liabilities, a death benefit for life insurance contracts or annuity payments. Those are extraordinarily volatile in fiat, and they each keep getting cheaper in Bitcoin. And so to understand really what's going on and why this is happening, I think we need to ask ourselves two things. One, like what is money? Like what is it? And why is Bitcoin an excellent money, or even is it an excellent money? So what's money? Money is technology. It is, and it always has been technology, whether it was seashells or salt or cattle. It's always been technology. It's technology for making our wealth today available for consumption tomorrow. And virtually all of us, Americans, we just take for granted that there's a sharp line of distinction between what's a money and what's not, but that's false. There's not a line of distinction. In fact, throughout history, various monies, plural, have always coexisted along a continuum of soundness, meaning good money to kind of bad money. And they've always been subject to competitive network effects, like any competition. In fact, English language and language for humans in general, that was the first network, and money was the second. It also means that given enough time, and at any given time, including right now, no money is absolutely the best money on all dimensions. There are always trade-offs. Some are better, some are worse, some are better at this, some are better at other things. It also means that all money is temporal. No money has ever been or ever will be forever, including Bitcoin. Bitcoin will not last forever. It may last 100 years or 250 years. I mean, maybe forever for practical terms for everybody at this conference, including you and I. But it will not last forever because money is just a good, like any other good. But what makes money as a good unique among all goods is that we value it not for its own sake, but for its prospective exchange utility, which means we hope the vessel, whatever we choose to store our money in, we hope that vessel keeps its value long enough so we can trade it in the future for stuff we actually want, right? Nobody actually wants green little pieces of paper. Nobody actually wants Bitcoin. Nobody actually wants Bitcoin either. What we want those things to do is to hopefully allow us to trade them for things in the future we actually want, a vacation, a college education, property, whatever, right? So it's not that we want the money. We don't want the money. We want what the money can do for us in the future, what we can trade it for.
So then why is Bitcoin excellent money?
Well, I think that's for everybody to make up their own mind. I'll tell you how I think about it, though. There's really two primary dimensions that I think money should be evaluated on: salability across time and salability across space. So salability across time just means, will a money keep its value through time, or will it depreciate? The oldest fiat money that's in existence today is the British pound. And 371 years ago, when kind of the modern British pound started, it was equal to 1 pound of silver. 1 British pound bought you 1 pound of silver. Today, do you know what 1 pound of silver buys you in terms of British pounds?
I'm guessing that it buys you more than 1 British
More than
pound.
1? A little bit, 174. So you used to buy 1 for 1. Now a pound of silver buys you 174 British pounds. And the key here is to understand what changed and what did not change, okay? The silver itself did not change. 371 years ago, it weighed a pound. Today, it weighs a pound. 371 years ago, the silver had certain chemical properties. It's got the same chemical properties today. The silver did not change. The fiat changed. It depreciated more than 99%. So silver crushed fiat.
I hate the 99% number. I just hate that one.
Yeah, I just didn't want to take it out to that many decimals. But it's 99.763812. I don't know. It's a lot. It's basically worthless, right, relative to silver. But people talk about gold. What about silver versus gold? I mean, and the reality is gold has been far better and far more reliable. It's much better store of value than silver because it's scarcer and it's got a much lower supply growth. Gold grows at about 2% a year. Silver grows about 20-30% a year. So gold is a much better money than silver, but let's compare it to Bitcoin. I mean, gold still does grow. You print through mining, you print gold at about 2% a year, and Bitcoin's on an asymptotic journey to 0% inflation per year. So 2% a year, roughly times 50 years, and gold essentially depreciates completely versus Bitcoin. So Bitcoin will be worth far more than gold in the future once it clicks for people that gold is printed at a much higher rate, and that compounds, much higher, 1 or 2% a year, but that compounds over 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But there's another property of gold that makes it weak relative to Bitcoin. And in fact, this is a property of Bitcoin that makes Bitcoin truly unique among any money in history, which is that Bitcoin is the first store of value ever in which its supply is entirely unaffected by its demand. If we take the example of gold to prove this point, if gold went to, I don't know, $100,000 an ounce, so up 50x overnight, you and I know what's going to happen tomorrow morning. The miners are going to get to work very early, right?
I'd be mining it.
You and I would drop the phone and start mining, right? We're going to start mining. We're going to look around our house for gold. We're going to melt it down. We're going to drive up the supply. We can't skyrocket the supply, but we're going to drive up the supply. We're going to drive down the price of gold. If during the course of this conversation, people really feel like bullish on Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to 1 million, I'm just saying that with a smile, what's going to happen to the supply of Bitcoin? Nothing. Nothing. That's incredible. That's incredible. Bitcoin is the first store of value in human history where its supply is never, can never, will never be affected by any amount of its increased demand. So the conclusion is that Bitcoin is better at being gold than gold because it's more salable across time. Now, the other characteristic about money that's really important is salability across space. Like, can you move the money around the world efficiently? And this is another place where gold has a really acute flaw. It's just hard to transport. I mean, forget paper gold, because then you're back in sort of fiat land and all the problems of fiat. Gold is just hard to transport. And this is where fiat, for all its flaws, and fiat's DOA, but for all its flaws, fiat really shines here. You can move it around the world. And in a sort of an internet world where network power is everything, this ability to sell across space is critical. However, I want to clear up a pretty common misperception, which is that Bitcoin is slower than fiat. The reality is the opposite. Bitcoin moves much faster across space than fiat. The key, though, is to compare apples to apples. Final settlement. And in final settlement, there's no comparison. Bitcoin increases our capacity for final, for example, international settlement by 500,000 transactions a day and completes the settlement with finality in about an hour. In international settlement, you're talking 2, 3, 4, 5 days, 7 days. It can be a month. Depends on the two countries. And you may not get there. And even within a country like ours, Michael, don't confuse the speed of your Visa payment with its final settlement, because it's not finally settling. When you go to Starbucks and buy coffee with your Visa card, no final settlement occurs. What actually happens is your bank and Starbucks bank, they have some credit risk to each other for 2 or 3 days. Usually it's fine, but sometimes with disastrous results. And then there's final settlements. Bitcoin settles every hour, and it's a bearer instrument. It's the first ever electronic bearer instrument. So credit risk is not a concept. We said earlier that Bitcoin is better at being gold than gold. What we're saying now is Bitcoin is better at being fiat than fiat. It's more saleable across space. And because it's not debt like fiat, it has no credit risk. So the conclusion is that Bitcoin is the best money we have Maybe it's the best money we've ever had. And that's why I've learned the language. That's why I now think